for another exciting fireside chat that we are having on Factual Entertainment, the rising surge between Ms. Megha Tata, MD South Asia, Discovery Communications India, and Mr. Anil Vanwari, founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief, IndianTelevision.com. Over to you, sir.
Hi, Megha. Megha, are you there?
I'm unable to start my video. I think somebody switched
Can
off.
the local administrator please switch on the video? Amol, can you switch on the video, please? Amol.
The host has stopped it, yeah.
I'll give him a call.
1 second. Apologies for that. In the meanwhile, let's begin. We'll have the video coming on until then. So, you've been in general entertainment. You've been in business news. You've been, now you're in factual and a wide, it's got so many offerings to consumers, right from sport to kids to factual entertainment. So, you've seen the entire journey. What has been the most challenging for you? Which of them has been the most challenging for you?
When you say challenging in terms of, in terms of running the business or what?
From business, from sales, from content, from all perspectives. Because GEC has massive audiences. News is very niche in terms of business news. Then you have Discovery, which is also niche. You have the factual entertainment, sports, which is massive again, Eurosport, etc.
Yeah.
Which has been the most? You're here. What has been the most exciting for you, and which has been the most challenging?
I think exciting. Every stint of mine has been really exciting. Every company I worked for, genres I worked in were all new when I joined them, and then sort of added to my repertoire of learning. I think news to me was the biggest challenge. It was not my comfort zone, let's put it this way. But we managed to overcome those challenges through some fabulous team I had, and really became the underdogs who became the big players as well. So for me, that was the most challenging experience. But Discovery has been absolutely fascinating journey so far. It's been a dreamed run for me as well, because it's just a new space for me in many ways. As a consumer, I've of course consumed Discovery all my life, as all of us. But to be creating content in this space, and especially in this last couple of years with the huge success of Discovery Plus, I think it's been an absolutely gratifying journey so far.
Yeah, you've overseen the launch of Discovery Plus, and
Yes.
So in terms of learnings that you've got to the table when you were working on Discovery itself as a business head, and also you're primarily an ad salesperson, my understanding. While you have content sensibilities and you have business sensibilities, but at heart, an ad salesperson is an ad salesperson. Like, yeah. Always be an ad salesperson.
Once a salesperson, always a salesperson. Yeah. Yes.
So what are the learnings which have come to the fore for you at Discovery through all your experiences?
I think one of the learnings is that at the end of the day, television is pretty much a genre agnostic medium. At the end of the day, you are talking to a consumer who you need to cater to. There are multiple kinds of consumers across the country, and I've always spoken about the multiple Indias within India we live in. And because India is such a diverse country, there are so many opportunities to cater to that consumer. And to me, that was the big learning I brought to Discovery as well, of having learned through, experience the different sort of genres, and here it was something new. But at the core of it was the consumer. And we always talk about, there is the 3 C's, right? There is the consumers, there is the commerce, and there is the communication. And and in the center of that, the C is the content. So everything is all revolving around that. And it's all about how you want to cater to that consumer in the best way possible. And I think the evolution of the content consumption in the last couple of years, to me, has been the most fascinating journey for me. I mean, what I think all of us as an industry have learned in the last 2 years probably is more than what we did together in the last 25 years. Because what has happened in the last 2 years has been absolutely fascinating, with the changes and the models changing, the business model changing, how do you make it happen in spite of all the challenges, I think has been fantastic.
So you said at the heart of it is content. You're working in a space which is, Discovery has got lots of experiences worldwide. In John Hendricks, when he set up Discovery many years ago, he had a particular vision in mind, which he stuck to. Over time, he partnered with Oprah Winfrey, and over the years, the company partnered. So what are the challenges you faced, especially with the genres that Discovery is very focused on, which is learning, seeing the world, different skill sets. So what are the challenges you're facing there in terms of the content piece?
So I think, Anil, let me just sort of set the context here first. Discovery in India, one at a global level, and of course then at an India level. So globally, of course, Discovery's been there for more than 40 odd years in the world, and in India itself, we've completed 25 plus years, 26 years to be precise. Now, the evolution of Discovery has happened slowly but surely. So when Discovery was brought into the forefront of the content for the audiences, it was perceived in a certain way based on the content offerings. It was all to do with the animals, the wild, that was the reference point of when it came about Discovery. Slowly, the evolution of the brand happened. More genres were brought in, more like adventure content and lifestyle content and food content and travel content under different brands. That TLC was there, Animal Planet was there, and things like that. So I think the evolution of the genre happened. So, but overall, Discovery's promise of, driving people's passions did not change. And I think that was the key focus, that, Discovery provides for content for passionate audiences who want to follow their passions. And now I think what has happened in the last couple of years, so obviously all these years, there was a particular way that content was getting consumed through linear. And of course, we are continue to be the leader in the real life entertainment space. But what happened 2 years ago, like many other companies, the way the content is being consumed has changed dramatically, Anil. And to me, that is the good and the challenging part. The good part is it gave an opportunity for the audiences to see that there is so much more to be consumed beyond fiction. I'm not saying fiction is not, because that's where the main appetite is, and main, let's say that's your core, meal, which you need to have. But you do not mind to try a bit of a, different kind of cuisines here and there as well, right? It's like when you go into a wedding, right? And you earlier on, there will be only one sort of food served, right? There's one buffet, and the typical khana you'll get. But today you go to the weddings, there'll be an Italian counter, there'll be a Chinese counter, there'll be pani puri counter. There is a buffet of choices. And now as a customer, as a consumer, it's my choice. I might try Italian today, and if I like it, I will keep coming back to it. The point was that no one was giving me that choice that existed. Today, I'm giving that choice, not only in terms of just one or two things. I'm giving you a buffet of and how. Like, you can't compete with something like bringing 300,000 hours of content today onto your platform. And that is what, to me, became an opportunity for something like Discovery Plus to be creating content or providing content on platform, reaching to the audiences. But the challenge in that is, because the consumption patterns change, people have seen so much, opportunity through different platforms, even in the real life entertainment. At an India production, at the India content production level, what we are finding is that while in the television production ecosystem or the content creation ecosystem is gearing up stronger and stronger day by day, and I heard some of your panelists earlier today as well, best of talent, best of thinking is being brought together in the fiction world. Top production houses are putting a lot of money and time and energy in creating content ideas and developing talent to serve to the fiction appetite. But the real life appetite is not getting catered for. And to us, that is the biggest challenge, because we want to provide a lot more richer content in the real life entertainment space, produced and created out of India, but we find roadblocks in availability of talent. So I want to use this platform really to urge the large community, the television, the creative community, that you have to step up your ability to create better real life entertainment content. Fiction's great. Of course, we all want fiction, but no, we all want some great non-fiction as well. And non-fiction in India has been very limited to just music and dance reality shows. That's when you think of non-fiction, you think of music shows, dance shows, and maybe a bit of Big Boss kind of content, right?
Oh, you have your quizzes.
Or not even, that's also very few. Yeah, maybe a KBC.
I know we're having the Ranveer show coming on Colors.
That's right. So it's very stereotypical expectation of non-fiction content, but there is so much more in the real life world. There is investigation, there is paranormal, there is food, there's lifestyle, there's adventure, there's armed forces, there's survival. There is a plethora of genres to be brought in, which the international audiences are consuming. Why is it that then we can't do it here? It's only because we are a bit, in bit of a rut of trying to address the fiction world, and I have full respect to that, and that is required, and I'm not talking against it. Absolutely, I'm a huge fiction content consumer, but I also want to get the best world-class non-fiction content and the real life content from my country. But there is a limitation. So what we have to do is bring the international producers into India and work with them, because I have a limitation in the local market. So and then we have to collaborate with international producers, international players, and see, and that's a good thing as well. Of course, you get in the best practices, but I think there is a need, in my view, to address that at an overall ecosystem. So I'm sorry, it was a long drawn response.
People are here to listen to you, not to me. We'd love to hear more from you. So in the next panel, I have Akul Tripathi, who's a filmmaker himself and loves documentary, talking to Stuart Pender, who's done content, who's produced content for Discovery ID. He's done content for BBC, ITV in the UK. So as you said, we've got a UK producer who's also a writer and a cameraman, and as well as he films himself, cinematographer, and who does a lot of documentary work. He's done things around drugs. He's done things around following the policeman in a particular locality. So to talk to the Indian audiences about how they can build on these genres, on these verticals. So we paid heed to what you were saying, that we need to get more actors into this ecosystem of real life programming.
Yeah,
so,
we need to get more production houses to create a certain vertical in their own system. We have great production talent in the country today, and they're creating some fabulous fiction content. But there is not enough, I think, I may be wrong because I don't see this around me, which hence I'm saying, but if I don't think so, enough time, their own energies and money is getting invested in developing the vertical on creating real life content. And I think there's definitely a need, because the consumers want it. When we create a show like Secret of Sonali,
Neeraj Pandey, right, who's a filmmaker,
absolutely. So that's what we are doing. We're bringing the mass entertainment directors and producers into creating content and bringing their mass sensibilities into creating non-fiction and real life content. And Secret of Sonali was a huge success. It became the #1 show across for us on Discovery Plus, and all of this content is going to also go internationally on our platform in other markets as well. So here's an opportunity to create world-class content in India and get showcased outside of India. Why wouldn't any creative mind want that, right? It's a huge high to have, to your content being seen in other parts of the world. And we have the ability to do that, because our products, Discovery Plus, is available across in so many markets, and more countries are going to get launched in the next few months and years. But where we need that ecosystem to feed to that need of the consumer.
So therefore, let's look at the Balaji Telefilms. I know that's one of the top fictional producers, which has the structures in place over there. So how would you encourage a Balaji or a Contillo or Swastik, One Life Studio, to get into this genre. They have the sensibilities of doing grand productions, you know. So how would you advise them? Do they hire the right people? Do they bring in consultants within their and set up a division? How do you advise? How do you see the way forward? Because you work with Neeraj Pandey. In Neeraj's case, did he do the production himself, or did somebody else line produce it for him? How do you see the way forward wherein these large production houses can partner with you?
Yeah, absolutely, Anil. I mean, we see it's not, I'm a platform who can provide that, saying that there is a need. Right now, how do we make that to satiate that need? We have to have a two-way street, right? There's sometimes we can provide a certain direction of the content we need. Sometimes it works the other ways. You know, the production houses have ideas to present and sort of you see that fits into your business needs, and then you work towards it. And that's true to every other platform, whether it's linear or digital. But to the ones you highlighted, you know, the production houses, I would be surprised if there is probably even one person in their organization who is dedicated to think nonfiction, who is dedicated to think real life entertainment. Every energy goes in creating an ecosystem to support the fiction needs. So it is in their interest as well, because it's in their business interest as well to make this happen. And I think this is probably a good time for them to start revisiting, because things have changed, obviously, we all know, and now there are platforms like ours who are keen to have more higher quality production values coming out of India, which are in the real life entertainment space. So I think all of those names you mentioned and more.
Let's have a company like Sol, which has gone into more fiction and more series rather than focus on factual entertainment.
I mean, you'll have to ask Fazila that why, but you know, this is their business directions. I'm no one to comment on it. I'm just highlighting the channel. Like we work with Banijay, you know. I mean, they of course have a good setup, and we work. But this, like, you literally can count those production houses in one finger, you know, one hand. I won't even need a full hand for that. So all I'm saying is that we need to highlight that, and I think I'll use this platform to tell everyone listening in that we have to pump up the game, you know, and it's not an overnight thing. It's just going to take its own course of time, and let's have a conversation, you know, engage with us. We would be happy to figure out what is the way to make this work for both of us. But tali do haath se bachti hai. So one hand is ready, we need the second hand. So, you know,
so what should a production house come to you with? That they're willing to invest? They should come to you with a story idea? Would your creative team help in the development of the idea? Would they help with the technical crew which are needed, or they bring in their own technical crew? How do you see this engagement proceeding further?
I think first we should start talking.
Okay.
I think there is no talk right now happening. There's limited. There are the bunch of people we engage with, and of course, you know, they're fantastic, and we do some great work with them. But there is a need to open up that conversation. It's not like a black book with the rules written on it. This is how we will play it out. I think it's an evolution. We should engage. We should start talking, and see where these conversations lead to. But like I said, it has to be a two-way street. They need to also feel for it as passionately as they feel for the fiction content. Only then will fructify into something worthy.
So is there scope for a nature lover and a factual entertainment lover like Akul Tripathi, who's worked in diverse and who was also heading DocuBay? Akul, you don't mind me please referring to you, but he's not a producer, but he's got an eye for what is factual entertainment. Can somebody like him who's a newcomer, and can somebody who's a student in Whistling Woods, who has a good eye, who's a good cinematographer, can he come to you all with ideas?
Of course, anyone can come with good ideas, but this is not only about ideas, no, Anil. It's also about the ability to make it into reality, right? So the back-end ecosystem, I mean, when you make a show like Into the Wild with Bear Grylls, it doesn't happen. It doesn't reach the heights of success it does based on just an idea of Bear Grylls with PM Modi, right? I mean, that is the core, but the surround sound around it is what made that show become the #1 show in the country that day, right? Or broke all kinds of records. Or if when you have Thalaiva having a conversation with, so it's not about Bear Grylls and Thalaiva in one screen, one frame. It's the whole thing which goes, and that ability of production capability to create that quality of production. The ecosystem doesn't exist in India, to be honest. And that's the sad part. But at the same time, the eternal optimist I am, I believe if I take the glass half full approach, this is a good time to start revisit and reimagine your business goals as well, all the production houses, because there is an opportunity to make money and great content in the real life entertainment space. And I think it's not only me, everyone, every local player, even the fiction player would want to engage with such productions for creating real life entertainment. I think that's really, but it's you have to start somewhere, is what I'm saying.
So they have to know the art of script writing. They have to understand writing.
And production as well. Yes, of course.
So that's where I come from. And is there enough sustainable amount of work to come from this, come their way from Discovery annually, so they can start investing in this?
This is not about Discovery trying to hire everybody. This is about
Discovery.
This is about highlighting the need. Yes, we are the leaders in this, and hence there is a need. And I am saying that, in fact, we have doubled, I would say maybe even tripled our production budgets from like the amount of hours we've produced in the last 1 year is probably more than what we have done in the last 25 years. As an original Indian production, I'm talking about, not overall Discovery production, of course, because we depend a lot on international production. But we are pumping up the volumes huge time in terms of creating content locally. But, frankly, the limitation is what I've spoken about.
I get it. So this is an open invitation to everybody.
I mean, it's like we want to create more content as long as there is great ideas and the ability to produce and deliver world-class content. Absolutely happy to engage.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I'm out of time or if I have time. If you have any last words to state, please state them, Megha, and so that we can move on to the next session, which is with the producer from the UK, who's done some great work in the UK.
Great. No, I mean, thank you so much for this opportunity, Anil. I'm glad I was able to sort of bring my point forward. I don't think so. What I've said, anyone will disagree. They all agree. It's just that the intent is there. Maybe for a lot of people, I think they all want to. In fact, when I talk to so many directors and so many producers, in the heart, they say, this is actually what we love to do. We'd love to make some great content, which is either in the documentary space or in the biographies or in the investigation space. And then there's this but, ... So, the point is that we've got to remove that but out and really put the mind into, if you're really passionate about it, put the money where the mouth is then. So I think this is really a plea to the entire industry that's, we've got to it's really a good time to create, we have an ecosystem to bring in the best content, best creative talent into the real life entertainment space as well. It should not be that everyone focuses 99% of their energies only on fiction. I think even if you make it 80-20, we are on a right place, but that 20% is needed from you.
Fantastic. If you'd like to stay on. You can chat with Stuart and Akul. It'll be great because, he's up your street. Akul, you want to come in and take over, please? Akul, can you switch on? Then I'll just cancel the script and let Akul and Stuart come on. Then I'll cancel the script.
Sure.
So Stuart and Akul can come on, and Megha is also here. Yeah, Akul, can you come on, please?
Yes. Coming on 1 second. My video is giving me some trouble.
So, Stuart, you heard Megha. She's saying that there's a shortage of talent and people are not paying attention to this. Your perspective, and then I'm handing you over to Akul. Akul, you manage both Megha and Stuart now.
Wow, fantastic. Hello, Megha. Good to meet you. Hi, Stuart.
Hi, Stuart.
Hi. Pleased to meet everyone.
Yeah. So my question to you, Stuart, about
Yes.
about factual entertainment.
What? Sorry, was that about talent? Sorry, you cut out.
Talent in the country, and that we don't have enough. People are concentrating more on fiction in India, which is news to you.
But बाद में मेरा meeting चल रहा है यार.
Sorry, Akul. Did I lose you?
I'm still here. My video has been flickering for some reason.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the fact that, was it the same scenario in the UK earlier where factual entertainment was being ignored and it was more fiction and more drama and series? After that, I shall go and I'll leave Akul with Megha and with you. So Megha heads Discovery. She's a CEO of Discovery in India.
Well, I think in the UK we've always had a very strong factual industry. What we've seen in the sort of last 5 to 10 years is the rise of the quality of drama, and what that has done is it's had an amazing influence on the factual industry. We've seen the creation of docudramas, so we've seen the fusion of the two worlds. So we've seen what would normally just be a factual sort of element, sort of the real side of filming, where we're following people around and seeing the reality of their day-to-day work. But now we've been fusing that for a while now with drama reenactments. So we're bringing retrospective stories to life. So I think that the UK industry adapts incredibly well to those demands, and I think it's important that any industry in any country, would look at the influences and what's happening around the world, and would try and adapt that. So if there is more of a fictional sort of industry here in India, it's working out those ways to tap into the factual side of things. Through the collaborations, through coming up with the ideas, and then reaching out to partners globally to work with them, and that's the best way that television, can sort of come to life, really.
Yeah, Akul, it's over to you now. I've asked my question. You've got to take over and get both of them into the conversation. It's not the script, but we deviate from the script. Thanks.
Right. So Stuart, there was a very interesting thing you said about the way the content has been moving from documentary and straight-jacketed documentary to a more docudrama kind of an approach now. And Megha, do you see something like that also working in India? Is there attempts to do something like that over here?
No, absolutely, there is an opportunity, which is what we were speaking about. That in India, real life or non-fiction entertainment has been very minutely looked at in genres like music and dance reality shows by and large. But there is a large plethora of genres which has not been explored, which we are doing now, and we've had some great success. And the docudrama space is absolutely an opportunity as well. But to my point earlier, which I made, is that I think the challenge is that does the production ecosystem and the talent ecosystem in the country, does it exist to cater to that need? And I think that's the question I was raising. So I don't know if any of you have an answer for that, but clearly there is a need to address that.
Stuart, taking this forward, what kind of when she says there's specific skill sets that are required to produce factual content, whether it's docudrama or in the documentary style, could you tell us something about what is this special skill sets, this mindset that allows one to make factual?
Well, I mean, for us, it always starts with the story, with the idea. Stories are the heart of everything that we produce. So the main thing really is to be able to identify those stories. So, someone can give you a newspaper article, but that doesn't make it a great story. So it's understanding, does that idea have potential? Can you convert that onto the screen? But also, if you're looking for big returnable series, does it have that longevity, or is this just a single or a one-off? And so once you have that story, the next thing is key, is we are all storytellers. It's being able to tell that story. It's being able to make it interesting, engaging, entertaining. And through that, the skill of writing is absolutely paramount, because it's amazing how many people don't have that ability to write. But it's one thing, me telling you a story now, being able to put that energy onto the page is a real skill. And then I caught sort of the tail end of the conversation that was just going on. It's also about then bringing that to life. It's making sure that you then collaborate with the right people, because you have a script, but it's making sure you've got the right creative heads, the directors, the producers, who can bring it to life, who can transform what's on the page. And I suppose, but another aspect is, whilst we write and we find and we tell the stories, a big thing, looking at where the streamers are going, access is huge now, in terms of who we want on screen. It used to be that we could follow lots of different people. You know, we follow everyday people around, but Amazon, Apple's, Netflix of this world, they want the high profile access. They want, you know, the programs which I suppose genres are very popular that have been, say, on Amazon would be the All or Nothing series, which is about following Premiership football teams or American football teams, or it's access to the royal family. You know, it's the ability, that access will be key. Sometimes you might not even have an idea of where the story might go. It's just you've got an access to a celebrity or a very interesting person. So I think the bar continues to go up in terms of the quality, but also the access and who is the subject, who is the character, because it's not just the story, it's the character. Who's gonna be on screen and tell you that story? Who are you going to follow around? And then I would say passion. It's not really a skill, it's just more of a thing that you have. You have to be passionate about your ideas. When you go to try and pitch ideas, the commissioners need to feel that passion. You have to believe in it if you want them to part with a certain amount of money to make it. And you're always going to be more convincing if you're passionate about that. So the beauty of it is that the whole industry is huge now. You know, we've got streamers, we've got loads of new networks, you know, lots of niche networks that have specific audiences, and that creates for producers, it creates this great market, which is exciting, but it's about building those relationships with people, building that trust and taking those ideas to the right people.
What is your process? What is your process, the method to your madness? When you say that we spoke about what the right idea is, so how do you find that idea? How do you develop it? How do you put it into a concept stage and take it forward?
Well, you know,
what do you look at when you're identifying a right idea as a maker?
As a maker, well, having been a director for 15 plus years, you know, it's understanding what a story is. It's an instinct. And you have to rely on your instinct as well. You know, sometimes you're not sure if a story is a great idea. If you find it interesting, it's more than likely someone else will find it interesting. If you find it funny, you know, the same can be, you know, the same thing can be applied there. In terms of the sort of the actual process, you know, we on a weekly basis will speak to our development teams. We'll find out what the channels and networks are looking for, what they want for the upcoming months and the year. And then I will hold small brainstorms with 3 or 4 people. We'll come up with ideas, we'll refine them, and then we'll push them forward and discuss them with the commissioners. So that's the sort of process. But yeah, I think there's an instinct as a program maker. You know, stories are, you could say sometimes they're subjective, but really when you have a good story, you have a good story. If you've got good access, it's good access, and it might not be the right time for it to be commissioned at that point, but good stories will always be made at some point. So it's believing in your instinct. It's having that from working in television and seeing things that work and things that don't work. It's just working on, I just fall back to my instincts of what being a program maker.
Can I ask you a question, Akul?
Yeah, please.
So Stuart, I mean, when you say you have the research, you know, development team, so you have a bunch of people constantly working on ideas and creating a sort of book of ideas to be able to go and pitch to the commissioners, right? Yeah. So I think that's that's what's lacking probably, you know, in some of our production houses. You know, we don't have that dedicated, which is what I was trying to highlight, is that kind of process exists when it comes to fiction content, you know, but I'm not sure how much of that is being done in the non-fiction or the real life entertainment space.
Yeah, why do you think that is so, Megha? Sorry, Stuart, but Megha, why do you think that is so?
One second. Stuart also works with, if I'm correct, with Red Arrow, right?
With Arrow Media. Arrow International is the company I work for.
Sure. So, you know, tell us a little bit about that, and Akul, you can go on to that later.
Well, in terms of, I mean, pretty much every production company in the UK will have a development team. It doesn't have to be big, but it will have a team that are driving forward what we would call the slate, which is the list of programs that we want to pitch forward. So we will find out from National Geographic, from Discovery, what is their projection for that year? What do they want? And it will be very, very specific, you know, and I think, you know, these aren't private documents. So sometimes they will have, as part of panels and webinars, they want to tell people, the producers, what they're looking for, because they want the right ideas. And they'll say, look, we're looking for Discovery could be, or Nat Geo could be looking for more adventure series. You know, what's the new Gordon Ramsay's Uncharted? You know, what can follow that sort of format? What's the new version of that? So they're very open with that, and then it's up to us to sort of come up with the ideas that fit in with that and work with them to create them. But yeah, I mean, it's the development team are, for us here, you know, they are the hub. So I would say if that's lacking, if you don't have that, then it's important to build that into how you produce stuff, or how you come up with, how you generate the ideas, about how you grow them, refine them, and then how you pitch them.
Thank you, Stuart. Megha, I was just asking you, following up on what you had said about the dearth of people doing the kind of development that Stuart is talking about. Why do you think that is? It isn't for a lack of talent in the country, not a lack of people who want to do work, whether it is factual or it is in fiction. What Stuart spoke about as an instinct for storytelling, where do you think is the disconnect between these instinct for storytelling between Indian filmmakers and the business behind the factual entertainment in the Indian market? Do you think there's a disconnect that is keeping them away?
It's a great question, Akul, actually. And it'll be good to sort of put this in context. So television in India has been a 30-year-old phenomena, right? So, and it's evolved over the last few years. The growth of this television industry has been on the back of fiction content. So, you know, that's been the bedrock of the growth of this industry. Only in the last maybe 5, 7, 10 years maximum, there's been some play in the non-fiction, the real life entertainment space. And if you look at the genres, look at the channels, or in the linear world I'm talking about, everything is international. Most of the content which you see in India is international, whether it's National Geographic or it is Discovery or History or any of those, you know, there are 1 or 2 players who came in the market to bring in the Indian content as well, but they're very limited play in there. And the localization strategy for them was all about was dubbing. Right? For all of us, it was about dubbing in the languages and reaching it to large parts of the country, and that's where it is. There was little or no investment actually taking place in terms of creating original content in the real life entertainment space. So that's a reality. So I don't blame the production houses when there is not a business reason for them to invest in that. You know, they will obviously put the investment where the revenue is coming, and that's where the fiction is. But what has happened, Akul, is the last 2 years, in every which way, which has changed our world upside down, it has changed also what is getting consumed and how it's getting consumed. And to me, I see this opportunity come across in the 2 years and because the consumers have the ability to watch so much more content which has been invested in other parts of the world, they are now spoiled for choice. Right now, they want all that. They want to explore more non-fiction content. They want more non-real life entertainment. Of course, they want their fiction fix, no doubt about that. But they want this as well. For us, that's why we feel that Discovery Plus is a complementary proposition. It's not an either-or. You do want to watch a Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, whatever else, but you would like to have a Discovery Plus as well, because it's a complementary proposition. So when now there is an opportunity for, whether it's Discovery Plus or maybe the other players also investing and wanting to invest in the real life entertainment, you suddenly realize that, oh God, I want to, but who's going to make it? Like there is not enough talent there. There's not enough thinking there. There are not enough ideas there. So what then we do, for example, Discovery does, is looking at international formats, trying to make that work in India. And that's a great idea as well. But then we have to reach to international producers to work along with India, because there are very few and far between talent and production setup in India to cater to this need. So I think it's an opportunity. I think it's time that we sort of invest and take the learnings to what Stuart was saying of what's happening in UK and other parts of the world, where the production setups need to invest in research and development, ideation, talent, to create that ecosystem to cater to this need.
Stuart, did it work the same way in the UK? Did it, like Megha was saying, that it was a fiction-based entertainment ecosystem that catapulted television and the media industry in the country? Was it the same way in the UK? How did fiction develop over there? Is it something that's innately there in a public and their requirement of how they view content? Is there something with British people liking to watch more documentary and fact-based content, or was there a process of how these stories were made more interesting so that people could consume them, understand them, because that's a major part of when we speak about factual entertainment?
Well, I mean, that's quite a lot of ground to cover, but yes, I mean, we've always had a fascination with dramas in the UK. There's always been a strong sort of pedigree of drama programming. What I think changed was sort of certainly when I started out in my career is the sort of development or the transition into self-shooting, the small cameras which directors started using, which saw what I would say the explosion of observational documentaries, and that's a big part of our industry here. Is directors, which traditionally would never pick up a camera, started then operating cameras themselves. So it enabled us to do the type of programs I did, following paramedics around, following police officers around, small cameras that are discreet, and that created a whole sort of industry in terms of observational documentaries. And then really, I mean, the factual and the fictional have always sort of worked side by side. I think that the huge investment in drama has in turn pushed up the quality of the documentary making. So now what used to be the quality wasn't as good because you had people who weren't as good at operating cameras. Now the quality and the cameras are exceptional quality. We're using prime lenses, lenses, fixed focal lenses that traditionally would only been used on film sets, now are in the hands of self-shooting directors. So what you have is what would have been a much more sort of shaky camera look is now incredibly polished. And so really the two play off each other. They influence each other a lot more. You see people moving from one to the other in terms of behind camera. So I think they've complemented each other quite well and almost pushed each other in terms of if sort of, as one gets better, the other one tries to sort of compete. Because if you look at the quality of, say, the true crime documentaries that are on Netflix, the quality is outstanding and it raises the bar each time. And these are programs that would have been traditionally, the quality would have been a lot lower, but you've seen that, and that raises the bar, and that's what you have to look at. You have to look at your competitors, who's doing what, and that raises up everyone's standard.
You've yourself put on many hats. You've scripted, you've filmed, you've directed, you've produced it, and I'm sure somewhere you've been very instrumental in the post-production as well. So this is not something that you see very often, definitely in the fiction setup. So as a factual entertainment professional, is this something, this multitasking, this ability to be able to step into any role that's required, a part of the game? If so, why do you think that is that's there? Is it because it's the directors or makers, the instinct needs to come out the way you have imagined it, or is it more to do with non-availability of that kind of a talent at the right time, or maybe budgets?
No, I mean, budgets is sometimes the key, but the thing is with television here is we have a very sort of a linear sort of hierarchical sort of structure in television. People start as runners, they become researchers, then assistant producers, then producers, directors, and then they become series producers, and then they become executive producers. So I've done all of those roles in my career. So I understand what those roles entail. I've been, as a director, I've sat with an editor after I've scripted and filmed, I've then gone into the edit. So I've seen the editing process. So it is much more maybe of a UK thing, a model in terms of like the self-shooting as well, understanding how the cameras work, but also as a manager, you need to know what's achievable. I'm in control of budgets. I need to know what I'm asking of my team, my directors, because I know what can be made with that budget. And also it helps because I've been a director, so I have a creative input. When we have an idea and it's commissioned, it's my job now as an executive producer to with the series producer is to then start to visualize that. How can we bring that to life? And for me, I don't think if I hadn't have directed, I would find that harder, but it's also thinking about the style. It's not just the format, it's the style. What's it going to look like? What's your visual identity? So I think I think it's good to know how everyone works. It doesn't. I won't necessarily go and direct something now because I have to. But you do find more. You do find executive producers will direct some of the bigger feature documentaries if their companies are making them. I think people want to keep their hands, they want to be involved. They don't want to become too distant from the creative side of it. So you do see at lots of companies that execs will go and produce and direct feature documentaries.
So this is very interesting that it's coming up, which is you speak about a career which has grown through which more talents, more rounded perspective of the entire content that is being created has come to you. And you speak about instinct, again, something that comes with experience.
Yeah.
So that kind of leaves a newcomer in quite a lurch, right? What advice would you give a newcomer who is intent on coming into the factual entertainment industry? How does one start off? What does he do to learn the skill sets to get up?
Well, it is hard. I started at the BBC, so I spent 7 years there, which is great because it's full of training programs, and you've got lots of people in the same building who can, inspire you, but also who give talks, chats like this. Not as, we didn't used to have webinars back then. I think in the freelance industry, Arrow are really good. We get people who come in as runners, and then after they've been a runner within the company within, say, 6 months, we give them the opportunity to go and work on a production. So they get to then go out on location. They understand how production works, and then they can grow from there. We also run a mentoring scheme. So I'm mentoring a runner at the moment. So I will talk to them and give them advice, but it's also for them to say to me what they want to learn. So our industry in the UK is becoming much more over the last sort of 5 years aware of how do you tap into that young talent? How do you help them grow? Because with say BBC Three going online, which it did, I don't know about how many years ago, it then the content on that changed. It's a very youth skewing channel, but what we've seen is because cameras are in the hands of everyone now, and you can buy consumer cameras and people can produce amazing content, there's this amazing new generation of untapped talent, and it's about, they're not necessarily within the framework of television production as I would say, but it's how do you bring them in, and how do you take, get their ideas. So we're going through a change at the moment. We're trying to come up with schemes and ideas. There's lots of young directing schemes. The channels run. Channel 4 do a first-time directors scheme, which gives people who've never directed before an opportunity to direct their first documentary. So I think there's a big awareness of growing, of growing people, and that's and career development is really key. So I think the companies are really tapping into that a lot more.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. In India, we don't really have a formal education set up where people are taught filmmaking. There's very limited schools which do that, and in bigger cities, not really reaching out to the heartland. And Stuart's just talking about the broadcaster's role in mentoring and ensuring that newcomers with a passion in it find the right guidance to be able to create the kind of content that is again required by the broadcaster at the end of the day. Anything like that in plans with Discovery? I mean, with the kind of talent shortage or the disinterest of other production houses for whatever be the reasons, come and make content in the factual space. Is there something like that brewing at your end?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing specific, but I think there is definitely merit in thinking about that, and getting the broadcasters also doing their bit to address this need. I think it'd be great to collaborate with, say companies like Stuart's and see that how you can sort of bring that education and into the ecosystem in India as well. So there's definitely a need for sure. I think there is an opportunity to find collaborative opportunities with already existing players in other parts of the world, and UK, like Stuart, highlighted, is a great example. US, of course, and there's so many other markets as well where there is a bit more nuanced focus on real life entertainment. I think that's where India is sort of lacking at the moment. And I don't believe it's the lack of talent. Absolutely not. I think the lack of intent. And that's where we need to marry that. And I don't blame the production houses. Like I said, there was no business model for them, and hence the focus wasn't there. But now that their opportunity is coming, I think it is a good time for them to revisit and reimagine their business models, to start developing that vertical of theirs as well.
And Stuart, if you were to pitch to Megha, any ideas about what kind of any instinct that's kicking off? What kind of an idea would work for Discovery in India that you could make? I mean, India, UK, there's quite a lot of cultural interchange, long history, not always pleasant. Gives great factual background then.
Oh, ideas! You put me on the spot now. In terms of Discovery, well, like you say, the two countries have a very, very rich history, and exploring that would always be absolutely fascinating. We've done a series where we colorize black and white footage. We've done it for a series called America in Color and Australia in Color. And we would always, one area we are looking at is, could there be an India in color? So working with, Indian producers to come up with the stories.
Actually, there is India Film on Color. There is a documentary which we aired. Yeah.
Well, it's been done. It's been done already.
Fantastic. You're on the right track. Come on.
Yeah.
I was on the right track. Yeah.
Keep going.
But yes, I think there's definitely possibilities towards. So Anil can be the right, our conduit who can connect us, and maybe we should definitely.
Absolutely. It's all about collaboration.
This is part of PACT. So Stuart is a part of PACT. That's the Producers Alliance for Cinema and Television, who I've partnered with the IFTPC, and Indian Television is working closely with PACT and IFTPC to ensure that we build a conduit. So lovely to have Stuart. Dawn was very kind enough, who heads the international partnerships, and Anna, who got Stuart onto Content Hub. So it's been lovely chatting with you. Akul, I think wrap it up and round it up, I think, because the next session is on regional content. And it's been lovely listening to your guys chat. Megha, I kept my commitment. We would focus on factual entertainment.
Thank you, Anil.
Yeah.
Thank you. It couldn't have been a better place than Content Hub to start this conversation, because there definitely is a need to address this. So thanks so much, Anil.
Yeah. So Akul, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, both of you. Thank you, Megha, for all your inputs. It made the interactions with Stuart richer. Stuart, thank you for your inputs into this and your idea about how to bring content up, and the tips for the newcomers. Megha, hopefully there'll be some mentorship for people looking to do factual entertainment. And yeah, great to have both of you. Pleasure.
Thanks very much. Yeah,
Thanks,
no, it's been
Akul.
great.
Thanks, Stuart. Nice talking to you.
Thank you, Akul. Lovely to meet you.